Yeah, so here I am with another video. Great, huge, awesome. So it's been a while since I've done a video like this, even though I've been meaning to do like 100. So yeah, if you're new, subscribe to the channel, you know, yada yada yada, all that. So how can I say this? I'm talking about authors today that kind of get lost in their own plot. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever read a book, maybe not so much an actual published work, but there's a lot of those too. This happens a lot in indie novels as well. Those KDP novels that just go just shot off. I'm going to talk about some authors that go a little bit crazy. You know, just so y'all know, I'm a beta reader. I'm a paid beta reader. So people will send me their manuscripts, and it's my job to basically read them and give them a typed out report, and just really go line by line and really pick out every single little thing. I've taken classes after classes, read book after book, but that's not the point here. The point here is the work, okay? That's very important. So with that being said, how can I kind of start to explain this? There are definitely different types of plots, okay? There's different types of plot structures, and there's also different types of authors. So with that being said, you got to really understand, let's start to break down the authors first. I like to kind of put them in two categories, right? I call them the hairy plotters, These are the authors that'll kind of like plot out their structure, plot out their novel, have it like on a notebook or maybe a separate document. I like that too. But there's also the kind of off-the-cuffers where they just kind of have an idea and they just kind of roll with it. They just type. It's crazy. It's awesome though, and I love that. But here's the drawback, and I might do a video of exactly the difference and kind of the pros and cons of both the plotters and the hairy plotters and the off the cuffers. So with that being said, how can I say this? When you're writing off the cuff, especially when I receive fantasy novels, romance novels, even how can I say this? Mystery novels too. In a mystery novel, this could be detrimental. Extremely detrimental. A fantasy novel tends to be a little bit more drawn out with world building, a little more wiggle room for that. But how can I say this? A lot of times when I get these manuscripts that have like 20 chapters, 30 chapters, and it's still a first draft, it's like you can just tell where people are getting off kilter and just getting scatterbrained. They're going from plot arc to going to act, and it's going like, where are you in the plot structure? You know, these are certain things that you got to understand, that there are certain things that should be deviated with purpose, keyword, with purpose, and other things that should be just stick to grassroots. And I think honestly a combination of the two, you know, really letting that creativity shine, but also at the same time sticking to the literary fundamentals that are important. So of course we got a beginning, a middle, and an end. All right, so that's obvious. But then you want to break it down a little bit more. We have the introduction, the inciting incident, the rising action, the three acts in the rising action, the climactic rise, the climax, of course, the turning point, the falling action, and the conclusion, followed by the resolution. So these things are not, they're not really in the author's mind. You know, these little fucking things are not in the author's mind 100%. But the issue here is when you start writing and you don't know where you are in your own plot, you can tell. And I see it like clear as day. I see it clear as day when I get a manuscript and it's just like, this is going that way, that's going this way. It's scatterbrained, and you can tell like when you're writing off the cuff, that happens a lot. Not all the time, but usually I find that when I get those authors that are a little bit off the cuff, it goes crazy. You know, it can go crazy real fast. You got to really zone in on what you want. So deviating with purpose is very important too. So you can see these plot structures and you go, okay, well, you know, I'm creative. I'm going to do something different. That's fine. That's actually, I encourage that. But at the same time, you still got to like deviate with purpose. That's why I keep saying that, with purpose. You don't want to do it by accident, because if the reader's confused, you know, you're confused. You can just kind of tell that. Well, also at the same time, sometimes you just tell the author is just scatterbrained, just going out of nowhere, left and right, relax. So I obviously can't give specific examples. I'm a beta reader, so I'm a paid beta reader. This is what I do. And when I read all these different genres and all these different wonderful books, I see the benefits and the pros and the cons of each and every single one of these authors. It's like a flourish of experience. And I love working with authors that are really just getting themselves out there. I'm published, I'm self-published. But here's the thing, is that I study, class, this, that. But not every author is going to do that. They're passionate. It's just like being a painter. You know, you're not going to study brush strokes every single day. You're just going to paint because you love it. And when I sit there, I go line by line, specifically line by line, and I type out detailed reports. It's pretty awesome. I really just kind of nitpick what's going on here. So like, you want to understand where you are. You know, if you're in the rising action, you need a landmark. You know, you got to know where you're going. You can't just be like, let me go to the grocery store and then go to Kentucky, and then, you know, you're just all over the place. You know, you've got to at least know where you're going. You got to know your destination, and you got to know your specific landmarks as well. Once you start going crazy, like I said, left and right, over and over, it drives people nuts, you know. So focus up, you know, like really, even if you're an off the cuffer, know where you're going, you know, like know your landmarks. I know a lot of times people will get a little bit inspired, like they'll start writing and they'll be like, oh, this is a good idea, and then they'll be like, oh, that's a good idea, let me just keep going. No. I mean, yeah, do what you gotta do, but at the same time, there's a reason why fiction series do pretty well, okay? Because this is where that could kind of come in, is like, all right, you know, I'm writing this, I got a great idea, let me do something else. Like, turn it into a series, possibly. They do actually tend to work a little bit well, because if they like one book, they'll buy the other, etc., etc., etc. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to be putting out, you know, a bunch of nonsense out there. You want people to have an enjoyable reading experience. And let's take like the Hunger Games one, for example. You know, like they could have went all types of different places with that in one book, but they did the smart thing and kind of chopped it up a little bit. And if you're that type of author that's off the cuff and is just like, I'm gonna, you know, go crazy, and you're like scatterbrained, maybe consider doing a series, because I think that might suit you better. But at the same time, you know, if you're writing one novel, just know where you're going, because like if I'm reading a book and it's not a mystery novel, even though mystery novels should have certain aspects and landmarks of what that, but if you're writing something that and you just don't know where you're going, you know, like how am I supposed to know where you're going? So focus up, know your landmarks, know your plot points, know exactly where you want to go and where you want the reader to go, because you want to give people something that they can remember and they want to enjoy. Because let's get real, you know, we're not in an era of books anymore. We're in an era of visual technology. Yeah. So with that being said, you got to really bring those aspects in, paint that picture, use that sensory detail, use those rich adjectives, but at the same time, keep it moving. You know, don't get lost, don't get scatterbrained, because I could tell. Maybe the average reader might be able to tell, but I can tell when somebody's just way off the mark. So yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, do what you got to do. But you know, good luck with your writing. I love when people are actually taking the opportunity and taking the initiative to write. It's not a problem, it's actually just a bad habit. I see that a lot in the off-the-cuffers, less in the hairy plotters. But yeah, keep it real.